Good afternoon, Professor. I am Miriam Garrido Baena, and in this video, I'm going to explain what evaluation of materials is and why it is important to do so. To start this presentation, it is important to mention that teachers do not only have to evaluate their students' learning progress, but also the materials they use in the teaching process, because they are the resources that support the learning in students. So, the first point that I'm going to talk about is the micro and macro evaluation. These terms, according to Ellis in 1988, refers to macroevaluation is the whole programs and projects where we can find the administrative and curricular matters. Microevaluation, according to the reading, is focused on some specific aspect of the curriculum or administration of the program. Here we can find evaluations of timetable, tasks, questioning practices, levels of participations, etc. Citing Brin and Reed Dickens and Germain, there are three phases during the evaluation of materials. Materials as a work plan. In it, materials are evaluated without reference to their use in the classroom. They are evaluated with checklists, taking into account the material in isolator, noting how it works in the class. Referring to Ellis, there is a phase called before program evaluations of materials. In this phase, the evaluator has to choose or adapt the materials identified by a set of criteria used to take a decision about it. Materials in process or action, Ellis proposes an evaluation of communicative tasks which is placed on the microevaluation, and outcomes from materials, which refers to the quantitative and qualitative results gotten after the application of the material. Evaluating materials used in class is not only an activity done by the teacher himself. Learners have to be taken into account when evaluating materials because they are who are learning through them. Teachers can ask their students to assess the materials after training them. It is because any material or resource can be evaluated without being used first. However, learners are not the only ones to be taken into account during the evaluation. Reed Dickens and Germain mention a list for learner, parent, teacher, head or colleague principal, teacher trainer, curriculum committee member, inspector, educational researcher, publisher, and materials designer. There are some proposals for evaluating materials. Let's talk about the proposal based on materials as work plan. When teachers are developing criteria for evaluating and choosing materials, there are some questions that have to be taken into account. According to Littlejohn, those are: what aspects of materials should we examine? In there, we have those aspects subdivided into publication and design, in each of them has its specifications that are shown in the schema. How can we examine the materials? Littlejohn mentions that it is important to go from the concrete to more abstract aspects. How can we relate the findings to our own teaching context? In this point, it is important to investigate the internal character of the material and the context it will be used in order to make a judgment and to identify the most useful materials. To get a better data that can bring significant information to the teacher about the materials he or she is using, it is necessary to evaluate the materials in process. It means during and after their use. This evaluation is related to one of the practices that a reflective teacher does. The microevaluation of tasks is immersed in this proposal. For this evaluation, Ellis proposes 6 dimensions: objectives model approach, responsive evaluation approach, accountability, effectiveness, efficiency, formative evaluation, and summative evaluation. To analyze the task, Ellis gives some steps that are involved in the evaluation of communicative tasks. Those steps are description of the task, planning the evaluation, collecting the information, analysis of the information, and conclusions and recommendations. In order to finish this video, I will show the proposal that I planned. According to what Ellis exposed about the proposals for evaluating materials and according to my own teaching experience, I will consider the next steps to make a judgment to choose or to adapt the material to be used in my class. In Materials as Work Plan, I will analyze students' needs, the level of English they have, the age, and the learning styles. Analyze the syllabus and the textbook. What achievements the syllabus proposes to work with? What activities the textbook has? Are they useful for my students? Do they have the level that my students possess? Are they planned in an interesting way to engage my students' attention? Those activities are enough for my students to learn, or they will need extra activities to get the approach. What is the purpose of each activity? What will be the role of my students and the role for me as a teacher? And an application of an achievement test per task. For materials in process during the application of the material, I will observe and determine if the task is working as it was planned, if the activity is adapted or created according to students' level and necessities. Is it difficult or easy for them to answer it? Is the activity boring or getting students' attention? After the use of the materials, I can get an application of an achievement test post-task in order to get results and compare them with the test applied before the activity, so it can bring information to know if the activity worked effectively or not. Applied a survey to students in order to know if the activity was planned according to their needs. Was it easy or difficult for you? Was it interesting for you or not? Was the activity planned to your English level? Did the activity let you practice the language? Did you like the activity? How did you feel during the activity? Do you think you learned with this activity? What do you propose to improve the activity and your learning? All those questions followed by the question why. Analysis of the information gotten from the test, quantitative, and the information from the survey, which was qualitative. Well, professor, this is my project. Thanks for watching the video and see you soon.